I'm sitting alongside Chris Longchamp, who is the Vice President candidate for SGA this year. Chris, how are you doing today?
Doing great today, Kay. How are you?
I'm doing great.
Thank you for taking the time to sit down with me today.
No problem. So tell me about your involvement in student government.
Yeah, so student government, I served this year as a senator on SGA. I also served as the secretary of SGA, which means I took all the meeting minutes for that, and I also threw out all the agendas to all the general members of SGA.
Yeah. Now, what are some of the initiatives that you've accomplished thus far?
Yeah, so some of my initiative work has included Sleeping Giant State Park maps in the Student Center. I also completed an initiative surrounding promoting the lesser known programs in the library. And I'm also currently working on an initiative right now to get more transparency regarding the university finances and how the university invests its money.
Yeah. Now, tell me a little bit more about your platform and what you're running on.
Yeah, so my platform includes a lot about transparency with the university. Obviously, as you just heard, I worked on an initiative regarding that, so I would like to work on other issues regarding transparency in that eye. I would also like to work on school spirit, because as being a part of Q30 and being involved in the athletic department, some of the spring sports and fall sports don't get the recognition that they deserve. Their attendance is not as high as, say, a basketball game or a hockey game. So I would work with other organizations regarding that, such as QU Spirit. I work with the pep band, because obviously I'm also on the e-board of pep band, so that would help with that. And just promote some more spring and fall sports involvement and attendance at those games. And then finally, my last point of my platform is a diversity and equity and inclusion-based cabinet on SGA. Obviously, with the restructure, we have a new position, the Vice President of Inclusion, Diversity, and Engagement. And thus, I would like to put a DEI cabinet on there to work with more of the initiative-based work, because obviously the Vice President of IED is going to focus on the larger scale work regarding the DEI. So then obviously with the cabinet, it's going to create that time, that space for students to work on smaller, more student-focused initiatives.
Yeah, so about this cabinet, would you have more members on SGA specifically working in this cabinet? Tell me more about it.
Yeah, so for the cabinet, we ran through a brief, like very preliminary sketch of what it would look like this year, but I would like to make some revisions to that. Obviously, I think it could be a subcommittee of the Specialized Representation Cabinet, which we already have right now, but it would be under that cabinet, but it would be like a sub, and then so that would be what I would try and focus on. Obviously, with the Specialized Representation Cabinet as it is right now, there's a senator that's a multicultural senator, gender and identity senator. I would like to split up the gender and identity senator, have a specific gender and a specific identity senator, and then obviously have the multicultural senators come down, and then accessibility, and then wellness and a recreation senator to kind of split up those roles a little bit more and get more people involved with SGA and working on initiatives.
Yeah. Now, what sets you apart from the other candidates?
What sets me apart from the other candidates? Well, that's a great question. So, for me, I think it's just my experience. I've been a secretary and I've been a senator, and this is my first year on SGA, so obviously I'm newer and I'm taking on more responsibility with these roles, so I'm putting about 10 hours a week into the organization. The vice president would put about 20 hours a week into the organization, so it's not a big transition for me to put more time towards SGA. Secondly, I have a vast knowledge of Robert's Rules. Obviously, this is how SGA runs its meetings. It's what we do day in, day out, every single day, every single meeting. So I have a vast knowledge of that dating back to my time in high school when I used Robert's Rules for Model United Nations, when I participated in that in high school. And then finally, it's just the experience and the commitment. And then finally is going to be, that's it.
Anything else you want to add?
No, just follow the Chris Longchamp, at Chris_Longchamp on Instagram for the latest campaign updates. Be sure to check out the SGA debates. They're going to be Sunday, April 11th at 7 p.m. You can watch those at, obviously, www.q30tv.com/live. And that's really it for me today, Kay.
One last question I forgot to ask. How are you campaigning? How can students, find more about you and things like that?
Yeah, so obviously, as I just mentioned, my Instagram is probably the biggest way to find out information about me. Another way is to obviously just walk around basically any building. I mean, my posters are all over the place. They're in the Student Center, they're in CCE, they're in CAS, they're in Tater. So I'm obviously pushing that as my main form of getting my message out to students, but then also the Instagram as well.
Now, you guys can vote for the elections on Tuesday, and you can vote for Chris, and you can vote for all of the other candidates. And on Sunday, watch the debates at 7 o'clock p.m.